Yeah, we are
Mhm.
now 6. There you go.
3,
18 seconds.
2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome to All Washed Up. This is episode 3. Today we're going to be going over our top 10 fantasy defenses for the 2021 season. With us today, we got Big Al once again, and today filling in for Billy, we've got Tex. Tex is Coda Bomar. He's a good buddy of mine. We were deployed together in Djibouti a few months ago. There for 7 months together. We've been at Whiteman Air Force a couple of years together now. And this is actually the first time that Coda and old Big Al have actually met. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
So we can get right into it. Just so everybody knows, there is an actual intro and all that coming soon. So you're not just going to hear my voice in introducing everybody. So
We are in the development stages
yeah.
still.
Boys, you got anything before we get started here?
I mean, I guess we could kind of run through a few of the things that are going on in the NFL. Biggest news coming across the board right now is where is Julio landing? Yeah, I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but Shannon Sharp called Julio on live television. He answered the phone, and Shannon asked him where he's going and what his plan was. And he said word for word, "I'm out of here. I want to win." So I think what it's down to now for him is he wants to go to the Patriots or the Titans. And from what I've heard is that the Falcons have received a first round tender for Julio, but they haven't released who the team is yet. And they said within the week he most likely will be traded. So we'll see where that is. But from what I've heard though is that Tennessee is out of that because they're not willing to give a first for Julio. So
I know that part because last I'd heard is AJ Brown was like, what's the word? Definitely advertising the Titans to Julio, like was saying everything he could, great things about Nashville and everything else to try to get that dude there. But
oh yeah,
I have a feeling he's going to
That's
end up at
gonna
the
be every
Patriots.
team.
He's going to end up. What?
That's going to be every team. The number one receiver. Same with Green Bay, Devontae Adams. He's trying to get Julio there as well. Anything helps.
Well, yeah, you got to think about it. If you take your number one receiver and you bring in Julio Jones, like you're probably more yards because they're not going to be able to double team. So yeah, I'd be pining for somebody else like that too. So.
From what I've heard,
Coda,
though, is that the most likely. Most likely landing spot for him is possibly San Francisco. They have the capital that they can give up for it, and it makes sense with Trey Lance coming in there to have like a number one wide receiver. They have Ayuk, but to have any team's going to be better with Julio on the team. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, and the last number one they had was Antoine Bolden. He was aging just like Julio, and Julio is better than Bolden. And they made it to the Super Bowl with him and Colin Kaepernick. So you can only imagine getting someone like Julio, though older, in Kyle Shanahan's system, which he played with in Atlanta. He's just going to utilize him just as well.
I didn't even think about that too. Kyle and Julio back together. That's going to be really, really interesting though, because I'm telling you right now, at fantasy draft, Julio goes to San Francisco. I'm actually considering it's like somewhat early-ish.
If he goes to San Francisco, I'm taking
that kid has there.
Yeah, if he goes to San Francisco, I'm taking Kittle before Kelsey. If you're talking fantasy, I'm going to start taking Kittle before Kelsey at that point, because now you have someone to open him up.
But it also lowers the opportunity, and with San Francisco and Kyle Shanahan's offense, they're constantly running the ball. I mean, they drafted Trey Sermon, so if you're looking at adding Julio to this already stacked offense that they have, then that's a lot of mouths. Which is the same thing. Like if you look at like if AJ Brown is looking at like he could potentially be like a top 3, top 5 wide receiver this year with the volume that he's going to see without Corey Davis there anymore. So
Yeah.
with Julio added in there, any team Julio goes to, he's gonna diminish the targets for everyone else around him. So
This is true.
I think that would honestly bump Kelsey up for me and drop Kittle below Kelsey solidified because of the fact of the limited amount of targets in the offense which I think that Jimmy Garoppolo runs for until Trey
agree.
Lance takes over.
I agree.
Right. All right. Well, while we're we're on the subject of fantasy here. These next few
You want to go
episodes are
over?
going to be
Oh.
10. Do you just want to show the top 10s now? We can do that. It's fine. Maybe.
No, I was saying do you want to we could let everybody know what our plan is for the next couple of episodes. So we're going to go through our top 10 of each position. So.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we decided was we're going to go top 10 defenses, and I think we'll probably just make our way up. On a roster is we'll go defenses, tight ends, running backs, wide receivers, and quarterbacks is probably how we'll, running backs and wide receivers depending on how we want to do it. The format is probably going to be the exact same as what we're doing tonight, just with different positions and all that, and then finally we'll finish off with the quarterbacks, which. Honestly, we're probably one of the more interesting ones just because I think some of us feel a little higher on some of the quarterbacks than others do, like Baker Mayfield. So,
Here we go.
Anyways, I'll get into it. I'll throw up what we all have here for our top 10 defense. We all did on our own and whatnot. They're kind of sort of the same. I think for the most part, after I was going through them, everybody's got relatively the same top 10, 11, 12-ish teams in the same order. So number 10, it looks like you guys have got the Patriots. I've got the Colts. You guys talk about the Patriots if you want to go ahead. I'll pull up their slide and whatnot. So if I can find it.
Yeah. I guess I'll go ahead and start out. I got Patriots at number 10 for me. Defense to me is about how they're coached and the system that's put in place for them. So when you have a system like New England and the way that they coach their players, if you have players in place like they do, then you're automatically going to have a relatively decent defense. And the fact that New England went out and spent the most money that they have in the past 10, 15 years in free agency this year that they did. So for me, I think what it comes down to is the fact that I still don't believe in the Patriots offense is why I have New England down so far. Because their defense is going to field a lot. I don't believe in Cam. Don't believe in Mac Jones and the weapons that they have around them. So with this offense or with this defense being on the field so much is why I have them a little bit lower. They reloaded with Matt Judon from the Ravens. They brought back Kyle Van Noy after he left for a year to the Dolphins. And then they got Jalen Mills to come in and replace Terrence Brooks. From the Eagles, I believe. Yeah, Jalen Mills on the Eagles. And then they went out and they drafted Christian Barmore, an absolute beast in the trenches, and then picked up Ronnie Perkins in the second round, or third round. They got Ronnie Perkins, which is a huge steal because they had people having him going in the second. And their only biggest, I got Terrence Brooks on there as a loss that they lost, but Jason McCourty is really the only key hit that they took in free agency. So,
right.
And then on top of that, you look at their schedule for the first 4 weeks, and you got Dolphins, who we don't know really what they're doing, and the Patriots have had their number for a long time now. And then you got a rookie quarterback, week 2, and the Jets. So that should be a feast there for them. The Saints, with who knows what kind of offense they're going to have with the new quarterback or whoever's going to play quarterback for the Saints. And then their only test is week 4 when they play the Buccaneers, and we'll see how that goes with Tom coming back into town.
Right.
Coda. Tech.
That's the same reason I have them out of 10. The thing is, you never want to count up Bill. Bill Belichick, he's always been the defensive-minded head coach. They do get Matt Patricia back from the Lions as the defensive coach. He left and he comes back. I think with that revolving door they've had with defensive coaches taking over head coaching jobs and him trying to fill, I think that's why you've seen the fluctuation in the defense. They still finished middle of the league last year. And again, they get Matt Patricia back on the defensive side. So getting Van Noy back from getting back from the Dolphins, he ran down there for a little bit with Flores, but now he's got coming back to the system. He already knows they're playing a bunch of young quarterbacks in their divisions. My biggest thing when I'm looking at defenses is who are the 6 teams they're going to play. Yes, they play the Bills twice, which is now a tough outing for anybody. But you're getting Jets twice, which is Zach Wilson, young, and you're getting Tua twice, and we don't know. Now with Fitzpatrick out of the Dolphins as well, you're not going to get any Fitzmagic coming in to maybe upset a game or two. So now you're just relying on Tua. They're not playing a first-place schedule anymore. But I think that's one thing we're always used to the Patriots playing is a first-place schedule because they're in the playoffs or they're making a deep run. So them drawing probably an easier schedule like you stated, starting off against Dolphins, Jets, and Saints. Don't know who's going to be the Saints. If it's Jameis, we'll see if he's learned from Breeze about turnovers, but he did lead the league in turnovers 2 years ago when he started with the Bucs, 30 for 30.
That is true.
So you never know how that's going to go. You never know. I never will bet against Tom either, but what if, it's going to be one of those games where Tom's really going to turn it on because it's against the Patriots, or you never know. This could be the season, but I wouldn't bet against him there.
So to the point about Tom too, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but he is, oh wow, I forget the yardage now, but he is, I think it was about like 2,000 yards or so, or like 1,200 yards shy of Breeze's all-time yards
he can
record.
break it in New England.
If he averages the same he did last year, he will break it if he averages that in Foxborough on his return. And if you think that Tom doesn't know that fact, yeah, he knows it and he's going to do it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So the only reason that I actually didn't have the Patriots in my top 10 here. It's one of those things. It kind of goes off of what Tex was saying. It's hard for me to. I've been on that end of thinking, oh, the Browns are going to have this great defense this year, but their offense was so trash.
That's the Browns.
I understand the Browns, but like I've seen those teams where like you don't know what the offense is going to do, and if the offense is constantly going 3 and out, you're going to have a tired ass defense, no matter how good they are. So like it's one of those things like we'll see what happens. Like if they end up, if Cam comes out and has a better year, which I think that he will, only because like he's actually in the system for the second year in a row. Like you don't know if we're actually going to see Mac Jones, this and that. So like they've added things on the offense as well. So they could have a better year. I don't know. Like I just left them out, but I have number 10.
And I can see them starting to I can see them still going back to running the ball more, trying to keep their defense off the field as much as they can. Like you said, do I think Cam's going to struggle very much? I think he's going to be hit and miss. I think it's more of a fill gap for Mac Jones to get some practices in, see how the NFL works, and then they'll bring him in and run that system. So,
right,
yeah,
but yeah, I have the Colts. I think we all got them in there at some point. The Colts to me was, and I know I said it in I think the last episode. The Colts was always like it was supposed to be like, oh, their defense is so good, this and that, and anybody at the beginning of the season last year, and then Cleveland went in there and actually spanked them. So like you don't really know if they're good, if they're bad, if they're whatnot. I do like how they drafted. Obviously, as the Michigan guy, I love Kwity Paye. He's going to do wonders for them on their defense. Bringing back Xavier Rhodes is good. They didn't lose a ton, so I think that bringing back the same defense again and adding Kwity Paye, like they're going to be they're a top 10 defense. Like and
yeah, I mean they allow
the division where you get to play the Texans twice, the Jaguars twice. Which you don't know what's going to end up happening with Trevor Lawrence and Etienne and all them and Urban Meyer's first year and all that. And then Tennessee. And I think Tennessee's going to have a down year too. So, like, the Colts should, in my opinion, defense. And it really, a lot of that depends on what Carson Wentz does on the offensive side too. Now, if Carson Wentz is turning the ball over and, they're constantly going 3-and, which I don't think is going to happen. I think that he's going to have a good year. That could change how the defense ends up playing because, once again, watching all of those very terrible offensive teams that are supposed to have good defenses get tired really, really fast. And, it turns a really good defense into just a defense, somebody who's average who, might not get there. I think the Colts will have a good year, though. I think that they will win that division. I think that Wentz has a good year, and with them scoring a lot of points, the defense is going to be. I think that they'll end up being a top 10 defense. So,
yeah.
All right.
I mean, I've got the Colts at number 9. Easily could make the case for them being either way. And I think when you have the small turnover that they have. And you still have Darius Leonard, who is the kid's an absolute beast. He's got to stay on the field. He keeps getting hurt, and then had like basically like a resurgence of his career last year. So to bring him in on like a veteran deal and have him play at corner like for them is absolutely great. And then Kwity Paye, they just needed those guys to help out in the trenches. So
yeah. Other number 9s here. You had Indianapolis. Old Tex giving some love to Big Al here.
I went with the Bears.
I would love. I'm excited to hear about this. I want to hear this.
I went with the Bears. They were number 11 in total yards last year, so it's not unexpected that they play well. They made the playoffs. They're making the playoffs. They finally made the big splash at quarterback with Justin Fields. And I'm going on to that knowing that they don't have the strongest offense, but they still managed to put up a top 11 defense last year. They have the best D, in my opinion, in the division. So, again, I go about divisions. Yes, you have Aaron Rodgers twice. Matthew Stafford's gone. So those yards that you put up that Matthew Stafford would probably put up, those yards and those points are gone. And when you're talking about fantasy defense, you look for turnovers. You're trying to factor in the turnover portion of things. So, with Khalil Mack is still on the other side of the ball. He's still going to get to the quarterback. Along with everybody else along their front line. I think this is maybe the one at the end of the year that could possibly be a stretch. But I don't know. I'm just betting that they play better. Soldier Field's still hard to play in the winter when you start getting cold. So I'm just looking long term. Maybe Justin Fields comes in, starts lighting it up. I don't know. That was one of my ones I took a little bit of guess on. But we'll see. We'll see how the season plays out, how that really plays out.
I'm sure Alan really likes it too.
I do.
I actually considered throwing them in there as well. I think that a lot of the problem with the Bears defense I'm probably going to harp on it. But I think that have a terrible offense. It's very hard for a defense to play well, especially when your offense is trying to play, they're playing bad, they get behind. Catch up. The defense can't get off the field, and they're getting tired and everything else. And defense is just like, come on, man. Can the offense just do anything? Can they do something? Because I feel like that was the case with the Bears, especially last year. And I feel like that's it is a good call. It wouldn't surprise me if they end up in the top 10.
Yeah,
100%. The only reason I didn't have them in the top 10, like if we went any deeper, they'd probably be 11 or 12 for me. With the fact that, you're looking at, you still got Kirk Cousins for the Vikings, Jared Goff, who I think is going to have an absolute terrible year with the Lions. And then most likely we're looking at Jordan Love playing quarterback for the Packers. So when you look at that, the defense is a lot of veterans, solid veterans in there. But I think the biggest thing for me that I left them out was the inexperience at cornerback. You got rid of Kyle Fuller as a cap hit, which I full understand. People had to take losses or this, whatever, but you could have found that money somewhere else. Kyle Fuller is an absolute stud. And you needed to keep him there. And we replaced him with Desmond Trufant. Trufant's a good veteran. Take nothing away from the guy. He's a solid player, but he's not a top-tier corner anymore like he was
a
few
best
years
years are
ago.
behind him.
Yeah, his best years are behind him. And then with Chuck Pagano leaving, it's just been a constant turnover at defensive coordinator for the Bears. They brought in a kid that was I believe he's like 26 years old as a defensive coordinator, who has been with the team for a while. Has been under Chuck Pagano. Has been under who's the head coach of Denver now, Fangio. So he's learned from all of them, which is great. So we'll see what he can do. But I think the biggest thing is if Aaron Rodgers comes back to play, the Bears don't do well in the division. If Rodgers doesn't play, then I think that they have like an absolute solid year. I think it was more of an optimism thing for me that I was going to leave them out and be like, oh, at the end of the year, they're top 5 defense. Awesome. Love it.
Yeah. No, like I said, I agree. They could sneak up there in the top 10. I think a lot of it depends, like you said, kind of on Rodgers. Like if Aaron Rodgers doesn't end up playing there and you've got Jordan Love, Kirk, that he ends up, playing against 6 times a year, they probably going to end up having a good season. But so
well,
I've got the Chargers
here
at 9. Okay.
Sorry, with what you said, Scott, too, is the biggest thing is that, like, last year, Mitch couldn't keep the defense off the field. So if Dalton or Fields can, at least keep them off the field enough to, like, catch their breath, then I think that, they'll be pretty good. So.
Right. Yeah, I've got the Chargers here. I just.
Oh, we don't got a side for the Bears? I see how it is. I'm just.
Team, obviously, I think we all agree that they're going to be good. And like you've got on there, you get Derwin James back from injury. They drafted Asante Samuel Jr., which is going to help on the in the secondary. Once again, like when you have a good offense, you're going to have a good defense, in my opinion. And obviously Herbert has made strides. He's already had a great year last year, and he's going to have an even better year this year. So I think that they score a lot of points. I think that the defense, which is already good, is going to be even better, and they're going to be a tough team to beat. I think that if you are in a 10-man league, that you could probably grab the Chargers and probably stick with them. You probably wouldn't have to do what I like to do, and grab a defense off of waivers every single week. Yes, I like to rotate through defenses. I like to play the matchups and everything. I think that if you were to grab the Chargers, you'd probably be all right. Granted, they do play in a tough-ish division, I guess.
Oh, it's a tough one.
Patrick. I mean, you got to play Patrick Mahomes twice a year, and
I'd say they're good for every game except for 2 weeks out of the year, and that's when they play the. And there's no way. I mean,
it depends on the Broncos.
It depends on the Broncos, but I mean, unless they're playing Tampa Bay in the Tampa Bay's defense from the Super Bowl, I'm not playing any defense against the Chiefs. Like, I'm sorry, like that. You're having to lose your fantasy week if you play the defense that's playing the Chiefs. Like, yeah.
Right. Which I mean, if you really think about it, going back, I know they're a little bit. If you kind of think about that with like a Patriots defense, like they're gonna have a decent defense, but like. They're at no point, kind of go off of kind of what Coda was saying is at no point are you really going to have, you got the Bills.
Yeah, you have to play the Bills.
But at least once you're going to get them at home. You have to play in Buffalo once. So the 6 games in the division, you're going to play the Dolphins, which you don't know about too. You're going to play the Bills once at home, once away, and then you're going to end up getting the Jets, and you don't know what Zach Wilson's going to do. So, it kind of goes like you said, just going off of like with the Chargers. Yeah, you got to play Patrick Mahomes, regardless if it's at home or away. You got to play Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs twice a year. And really, the Raiders.
I don't know. You got the Raiders twice. You got the Raiders twice too, and Derek Carr and John.
But you don't know what the Raiders are going to do. That's
decent.
Raiders could end up having one of those games where they go and beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, or they could go and lose to Joe Schmo and the Kokomo, the freaking Dolphins and Ryan Fitzpatrick in a shootout. Like, it makes no sense. The Raiders are so hit and miss. You don't know what you're going to get from the Raiders. So,
I 100% agree with that.
Again, I think the Chargers are number 2 in that. The Chargers are number 2 in that division. and with the exception of the 2 games out of the 17, they're probably going to have a good year on defense. So, yeah.
I'm gonna make
Let's
a
go to
bold
number
statement.
8.
The Raiders finished second in that division.
There's no
Bold
There's
statement.
no way.
Right
There's
here.
no way.
Raiders
Oh,
finished
there's no
second
way.
in that. I
There's
think
no
that
way.
depends on who plays. That all depends on who plays quarterback for the Broncos. If it's Teddy,
That's true,
not
too.
a chance. If it's
That's true. I
if it's-
forgot that Teddy
yeah.
went to
Yep. Which I think Teddy takes over, and that offense absolute goes wild because there's so many weapons in that offense right now. It's not even funny.
Oh yeah, I mean that's why I think a lot of people wanted to see Aaron Rodgers go there because I think if Aaron Rodgers went there, which we said in previous episodes, he would end up probably at least competing, maybe not necessarily winning, but he would compete for a Super Bowl in Denver. I mean, it would just happen. So
Yeah.
How is that?
All
How
right,
deflating would that be for Teddy?
you get signed
That would
there.
be funny.
There's never mind. All right, but you guys actually have the Chargers at 8, so
Yep.
you
Yeah.
can go into that if you guys want. So
Just the points you said. They're getting Derwin James back. Probably second best safety in the league when he's playing and he's healthy. Division with you. Don't start him with the Chiefs. That's a given. Never know what you're going to get from Oakland or Denver, depending who's playing quarterback. They get Cowboys week 2, who I'm a Cowboys fan, but we still don't know what Dak's going to come back and be. Washington week 1 might be a weird one because as I think we all have, Washington's defense is going to be a stout one. So I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. So for fantasy, we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I just kind of piggyback off what you said about the Chargers previously.
Yeah. The biggest thing I think for the Chargers is health. Every single year, it's who's going to go out. I mean, last year they were in Hard Knocks, and we saw Derwin James. He came back from the ACL, came back, and then in practice, I believe it was an Achilles that he tore last year, or it was his opposite knee that he. Yeah, but he's season-ending injuries every single year, and the kid is arguably to the best safety in the league when he's the guy's an absolute monster. It's just whether they stay on the field, whether Bosa can stay healthy. They better bring back Melvin Ingram to have some help there. But yeah, health is number 1 for that team. So
yeah, out here, I think I have the Rams actually.
Yeah, I think you went.
Here's
Rams
why.
next.
I did.
Yeah.
So the Rams, they've been a good defense the last couple of years. I like the 2 key departures that they have there with Troy Hill and John Johnson because they are both in Cleveland now.
Of course you like that.
But I think even with the loss of them in the secondary, they're still going to come back. They're still going to have a good year. The only thing that I would caution with them is the division that they play in. Play in a tough division with Arizona, Seattle,
Arizona,
and
Seahawks,
I always miss
Niners.
the other one.
The Niners.
Niners.
Okay, San Francisco.
Yeah.
We talked about it a couple weeks ago. That's a tough division, man. It's a crapshoot division in my opinion. Now you do have Matt Stafford now, so take it for what it's worth. I can make my argument that I didn't think Jared Goff was that bad, but me and Alan would get it. But you do have Matt Stafford. They're gonna have a good offense. Their defense is still gonna be very good. The only problem,
it's funny because I have them all the way up at 2, but we'll talk to. I have them all the way up at 2.
I don't know, man. Like I said,
later.
between the Seahawks, the Niners, and everything, they're gonna have to play tough offenses all year. And I know that they have in the past. It's not like
and that's where
Arizona, Seattle, and San Francisco has not been, good. Going to end up getting Jimmy G. You're going to get, and Trey Lance.
But using your argument,
I think is.
But using your argument, their offense, I think Stafford gives the defense hope. I think they know now that they don't have to make up for what Goff does. or the lack of what Goff was doing. I think the older players on the team finally have a quarterback they trust a little bit better and things like that, which helps the defense play. I don't like that they didn't draft anybody. I know they traded away a bunch of key draft picks to get the already proven stars. But I don't know. I'll go into that when we get to number 2.
No, I mean, you're not
So
in this one. I think that, I mean, even looking at their schedule to start off, you get the Bears, the Colts, the Bucks, and the Cardinals. Regardless of where I have them, that's a tough start. You're getting Justin Fields, Carson Wentz, Tom Brady, and Kyler Murray. You're getting, we don't know, most likely good offense, a very good offense, and a very good offense. So just to start off, I think you're gonna be able to tell a lot about their defense literally in that first 4 weeks, because they're gonna get tested quick. Now they do get 3 home games, which is awesome, which does help. You still got to play Tom Brady in the defending champs. You're gonna, like I said, I think Justin Fields is gonna be ridiculous. I think he's gonna have a great year. And you're getting a Kyler Murray Cardinals offense that's gonna be.
But we don't even know if he's starting week 1 yet.
He'll start week 1.
Yeah. So I arguably I had a very tough time ranking the Rams in my top 10. I wanted to not put them in there at all. They lost their defensive coordinator, who's been there for a while. All of these departures, Brockers, Troy Hill, Johnson, Ebukam, those are all key guys who allow Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey to do what they do. If you don't have those key contributors on that team, those guys become islands on their own. Every team now, all they're going to do every time they play Los Angeles is they're going to triple team Aaron Donald because they're not worried about anybody else on that team. And when you have to have Jalen Ramsey play the team, how many teams out there now have 2 number 1 wide receivers on their team, especially in the NFC West? I mean, you got Seahawks. Look at Arizona. I would love to see what the Rams are going to do to try and stop Arizona when they have to play DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green, hopefully Fitzgerald's back, but then everybody else that they drafted as well. I struggled, very, very struggled to put them in my top 10 at all. And I'd be willing to bet that by the end of the year, they're not there at all, at all.
Like I said, man, I agree.
I think they're that
the
boomer
benefit of the
bust.
doubt that they've. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. They're a boom. It seems like we all kind of think that same way. Oh, whoops, forgot that.
Except I think they're booming. I think they're going to boom.
All right. What are we on here? Number 7.
Number 7.
You and I are just
I've got
one off.
I've got one that y'all don't have in y'all's top 10 as well. I got the Bills.
I really contemplated this one.
This year.
Yes, after I saw your list and I started putting it in there, I was like, man, I forgot about the Bills.
That was my team that was going to replace the Rams had I had the Bills in there. That was who it was going to be instead of the Rams was the Bills.
Which it's funny because then we would have been on the same line there.
Yeah. Yep.
And with the Bills, I'm just same thing with what we said the Patriots, but now we get to include the Patriots having a question mark at quarterback, things like that. They've had always a strong defense with the weather, the Bills faithful, or is it called the Bills Mafia?
Bills Mafia. Yeah.
Zach Wilson, Tua. They were the big ones that stood out for me. You know, they've always been defensively minded, but now they finally are coming. They're the best team in that division. I think a lot of my stuff I kind of started looking at the best team in the division type of thing. But that's just where I went there. I noticed that y'all didn't have it, and I was kind of surprised that y'all didn't throw the Bills in there.
I have to, like I said, after I saw that you had picked them and whatnot, I kind of thought, like I said, I was like, man, they do play in a pretty crappy division. They added Gregory Rousseau, which is they're going to have a good. I mean, you got a good offense, you got a good defense. I'll bring it up every time. They have a good offense, and they're going to have a good defense. And playing in Buffalo, half the year, That is, to me, I've that Ralph Wilson before they moved, and playing in Buffalo, especially when you get into the later months where you start getting the cold and the snow, that is a tough place to play, man. Like, and I'm sure like you can attest to that too. Like Alan, like with, like it's the same thing as Chicago.
Oh
A
yeah.
tough place to play, and
Yeah.
I haven't
And
I
look
haven't
at their
looked at
season
towards
starting off.
the later part of their. Well, yeah, and that's the other thing I was going to say. Like, you've got the Steelers, the Dolphins, the Washington and Texans. When we look at offensively, like Steelers, you don't really know. They could be.
Yep.
You don't really know, but in my opinion, I think that could end up beat down by Buffalo. Like, I think that they can beat the Steelers down. Then you get the Dolphins and Tua. You get Washington, which you get Fitzmagic, cool, but
You got Fitzmagic.
But you don't know. Like one of say, it's another you don't know. And then
who's
you
their
get
receiver?
Terry
Who's that?
McLaurin.
Washington.
Oh, for Washington, yeah, you got Scary Terry
McLaurin.
and Curtis
God,
Samuel now.
He is something else.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't have the Bills in there though, and what I fought with them on that was their draft. They didn't really. I mean, look at these names we've got here for key additions. Like they're really nobody. And the biggest problem that the Bills had last year was stopping the run and getting pressure on the quarterback. Is why they lost a lot of late games was because the quarterbacks had forever to sit back in the pocket and throw the ball. So to me, I don't like Rousseau. Rousseau is a project to me. He's freshman year at Miami. He had a ton of sacks, and he got sacks off of blown plays because of the secondary. So he was able to get to the quarterback because of that. He was never able to get to the quarterback off of his own pressure. And then he took off his sophomore year for COVID, and then now went into the draft. So to me, I don't really like him as a number one draft pick. Basham, I like, but he doesn't have that top tier playing against that he's gone against. So we'll see what he can do against these monsters that he's got to go up. Left tackles and everything. Like you go up against the Jets. They've got two of arguably the best left tackle and right tackles in the game, and then the same thing with the Dolphins. So we'll see, but I think that's where I struggle with having them in there.
No, that makes sense. Like I said, and even going through them, I kind of left them out too. Obviously, they're not in my top 10, and mainly for that reason is that I really don't know because you don't. To me, like you have the Patriots, you don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what they're going to do because Tua could end up having a great year. You don't really know. And Zach Wilson, once again, you don't know. Like Zach Wilson could have a good year, and I think everybody, for me, it was almost like I forgot about the Bills defense only because when I hear the Bills, I think of Josh Allen and the offense. I don't think about the defense. I think about the offense.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Wow. So
it was just hard for me to put
like
the Patriots in the top 10. And then not put the Bills. I think that would have disrespected the Bills too much this year.
Alan, we already kind of went over yours with the Rams. I've got the Niners here at 7.
Yeah. Well, we all have the Niners right there. So let's go in on the Niners.
Yeah, right. You guys have them
at
you guys have them at 6. So let me find them here. There we go. So. The Niners, to me, are a product of injuries. We all know that. Like, they were injured and have dealt with so many injuries.
Oh, yeah.
That was their issue last year. Before all the injuries and everything, they had I'd have to go back and look. I don't think it was number 1, but they were definitely like top 5 defense. Like, they are, regardless of the division that they play in, like, they are that good. You've got,
those injuries.
The story's always been with them is like right, and then you look at like, what is it? They have 4 or 5 number 1 draft pick or first round draft picks on that defensive line. Like,
yeah,
good enough
they're
to
all
let
healthy.
Solomon Thomas, who was a top 3 pick. Solomon Thomas was a top 3 pick, and you can almost say he was a bust because everybody else was just better on the line.
Right.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I don't have them higher, honestly, at this point, is because once again of the division that they play in. Like,
Yep.
they've dealt with it before, and they've done that. But you don't, like, once again, you don't have Jared Goff there anymore. You have Matt Stafford, and you have
No, Matt.
a more
Oh, true.
experienced Kyler Murray coming back. Like, you're going to have better offenses in that division. And that was the only reason why I didn't rank them higher, because they're still very, very good. They're still a very stout defense. And, even go ahead and look at their schedule. Lions, Eagles, Packers, Seahawks, the first 4 weeks. Like, they're going to get off to a hot start playing the Lions. And then they get the Eagles, which, once again, I think they're going to destroy the Eagles. And then you actually start getting into, like, depending on with Aaron Rodgers, like, if they end up playing Jordan Love in the Packers, there's 3 weeks in a row. Now, not only have they played 3 weaker teams, but they've boosted their confidence. So they're already playing well. They're getting hot and everything. And going into week 4, at home against. So I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like. I haven't gone into depth with that, but they have the potential to start off with 4 really, really hot games, and it's probably why you guys have them ranked a spot higher than I do. But I just think, like I said, you're getting they're just going to be that good. Like I said, the only reason I didn't have them any higher is just because of the division that they play in. So.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is when you look at defenses, and what we're looking at when we do these rankings for everybody listening in is you do 4 weeks, and this is why when I put on there for the schedule, I did 4 weeks, because you're going to find out what a team really is made of after 4 weeks. And you're going to find out, all right, cool, can I drop this team? I'm going to play matchups the way I do. I play matchups every week. I'm dropping defenses like everything. So when you look at that, and then I think the biggest thing for the Niners, like we talked about, is the division that they play in. But 3 years ago, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 years ago, they were in the Super Bowl. That they went. And the year prior to that, they had all of the injuries. Again, my brother-in-law is a huge Niners fan, so he reminds me of this all the time. The year before that, they had all the injuries to the team, and they couldn't stay healthy at all. And then the next year, they made it to the Super Bowl. So last year,
that was only 2 years ago, actually.
2 years ago, 2 years ago is when they made it to the Super Bowl. So last year, they had all these injuries that decimated the entire team, and they couldn't stay healthy at all. We're looking at this. If they keep healthy again, they easily could be back in the talks of going to the Super Bowl again.
No, I agree, especially with bringing on Trey Lance. Like, I think Trey Lance is going to have. He is in my if they had taken Mac Jones over Trey Lance, like, you were just getting to go like Jimmy G 2.0, but now they've got Trey Lance, who is much more mobile than Mac Jones, much more mobile than Jimmy G, and the dude still has an arm. So, they're going to not only have a good defense, but have a good offense. And I agree with you. I think that they can compete for a Super Bowl. So,
and like we said earlier, do they get Julio? Because I think that starts factoring in a big portion on what happens with that entire team.
Yeah.
No, I agree, man. Let's see, let me go back to our top 10s here. So you got the Niners. So this is this pained me to do, and I can't believe. And I just looked at my list and realized that I literally have the AFC North right in the middle of my list.
I'm interested to see why you have them here. I'm interested to see why you have Pittsburgh at 6. Because they're not on there at all. So nope.
So here's my thing, and I know you can look at their departures. You lose Bud Dupree and Mike Hilton and Sean Davis and
the team.
To me, and this pains me. But the one thing that I thought that Pittsburgh did have was they have their defense. They have Minkah Fitzpatrick, man. Like, regardless. I believe Joe Hayden is still there. I thought I had heard rumors of him retire, but he is still there.
Joe Hayden's still there. You got Minkah Fitzpatrick, and then you got T.J. Watt. But I think it comes back to the same thing I was talking about with the Rams is that you have those key guys who are absolute studs, but you have to have the other players around them to help take away other portions. Otherwise, all they're going to do is they're going to double team. They're going to double team TJ Watt every single time. They know what they got with Minka. Minka blew up last year. Just
to me, man, like I
think it's going to be bad.
Listen, if I decide, I kind of base this on like if I decided that I was going to wait until like, usually I actually take the defense in like the 11th, maybe 12th round, right? That's what I try to do because if I can get if I can get a good defense, the only reason why I played the waiver wire last year on defenses was because the one defense that I did want, which I don't had who it was, got picked literally like 3 picks before me. And that was the only one that I was planning on, like, all right, if I take them, I'm good. I'll take them in it was like the 11th or 12th round. I didn't get them, so I said, all right, fine. I'm just going to go somebody else here. I loaded up on whatever, backup receivers, running backs. And I didn't take a defense until like the 13th, 14th, somewhere around there. And to me, if the Steelers was that defense where even last year, like, they might give up points, but they were the turnover team. So when we're talking fantasy defenses, you got Minkah Fitzpatrick, man. He's gonna get you some turnovers. Like TJ Watt's gonna get you some sacks. Like fantasy wise, I have. Yeah, sure.
Because when they beat the Browns, you had to have an excuse.
Listen, man. All right.
I think he's just trying to build in an excuse. When the Browns go and lose 2 games at the Steelers, he can say, I said they're a top 10 defense.
So I'm just going to say this for you, Scott. I think you need this validation, okay? I think you need this validation. You've been sleeping under a steel curtain for so long. Open up the blinds, my friend. Open up the blinds. Cleveland's here, okay? Pittsburgh's not anymore. Pittsburgh's not.
I feel like in a year where they're going to be like, we're 17 games now, so I think that like they're like a 9-8, 8-9 team in my opinion. I feel like even season and the what I think is going to be a terrible offense, shows up, and I think that they score enough fantasy wise. Not necessarily saying they're an elite defense. I'm saying that they're going to get enough turnovers and enough sacks to be able to keep them in that top 10 echelon of fantasy defenses. That is all I'm saying. I'm not saying they're going to be good because I hate the Steelers.
Yeah,
I get that. I can totally see that.
But then you, instead of saying, I think they can be in the top 10 and putting them at 10, you said, I'm going to put them at 6.
Exactly. If you had them at 10, Scott, if you had them at like 10 or 9, I would be a little bit more sided with you and be like, yeah, I can see that. I can see those guys, being there. I just think with the losses that they had, they didn't get anybody back or anything. Like, I mean, it's going to be bad. You got Joe Hayden on one side, who's not the Joe Hayden of Cleveland days, and you got Minkah Fitzpatrick back there. Like, and how are you going to stop? How are you going to stop OBJ, the Ravens, and then Cleveland? How are you going to stop Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and the rest of that offense? Like, I'm sorry.
I'm not saying.
So Cincinnati 11.
I'm not saying that they're not going to give up 30 points a game, but I think that they will be able to make up with interceptions, because you also have to look at the quarterbacks in that division. You have Lamar Jackson, you have Joe Burrow,
Cincinnati 11 Decker,
Baker Mayfield. Yes, Baker did clean it up last year, but I still think that between those 3 quarterbacks, Joe Burrow throws the damn ball like 60 times a game. So you got to figure at least he's going to throw at least 1 or 2 picks in those 60 attempts. And Lamar Jackson, I'm not a believer in Lamar. And I can't wait for the next episode where we don't have Billy, because I'm going to bring on my brother-in-law, who is he's a Ravens fan and hates Lamar Jackson. And it's just a story. I might even wait. I'm kind of hoping Billy's not here.
We got to bring
the quarterback thing. Top 10 quarterbacks, I can bring Anthony on, and Anthony can just go in about how he hates Lamar Jackson. Like he wishes that they would trade him and this and that.
Well,
I said, I just
bring Glasser in for that.
think
for that,
that
episode
fantasy-wise they can get in there.
What?
We'll bring Glasper in for that episode then too.
Oh. No.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. I don't need 2 Ravens fans on here all at once.
So
All
Decker,
right,
I
so
had to
let's
ask
keep
because
going.
I need an
Wait.
answer. I need an answer, Decker. Is Cincinnati 11 for you then? You just couldn't throw them in your top 10.
No.
And I was just
Not
expecting
at all.
the entire division there.
Listen, I have said I think the NFC West is a crapshoot, and I think that they're one of the hardest divisions. But the AFC North, I like. Listen, you've always had the Steelers, and you've always had, you have the Ravens, whatnot. But Cincinnati and Cleveland were always just like that. Finally, after all these years, they're legitimately like Cincinnati can have a good year. Pittsburgh could end up having a good year. And that Cleveland and Baltimore are like, that's a tough ass division, man. I like to talk it up when I can. Not like your NFC least that you got over there.
Oh, yeah. I'll go into the NFC
Digits.
least here soon.
But
You see that I didn't put the Eagles, Giants, with my Cowboys in the top 10, though.
I like it.
yeah,
Shouldn't,
that's all right.
shouldn't be there.
No,
All right, let's
shouldn't
get to
even
number
be in the
5.
top 15.
All right. Sorry, we're all kind of different here on number 5.
Alan,
I'm gonna let you go first.
Just because.
Oh,
I
Paris.
have actually. You know what?
Why don't
You know
you-
what?
I
Why don't we let Tex
Oh, yeah,
go
let's-
first?
yeah, let's
'Cause
knock out
he has
the
the
Colts.
Colts a
Yeah.
lot higher than where me and you had them. So let him go first, because looking at it, we're all kind of equal, right around 4 or 5 with the Ravens and the
Yeah,
Browns.
Colts. I had the Colts last year in fantasy. Pretty sure I just played with them throughout. Good, strong team. Like, same points that y'all had. I just put a little bit more weight into it. They play in a weak division somewhat. Tennessee's decent, but you have Tennessee, who still has Ryan Tannehill. You have a rookie quarterback down in Jacksonville. And I'm forgetting the 4th team. Houston. Don't know if
Texans,
Deshaun
yeah.
Watson's going to play. Deshaun does.
Okay.
That's
So
a rocky
let's-
road. I know he.
Let's address that one real quick, because I didn't get to bring that one up in our news in the beginning portion. So the news that came out about Deshaun Watson, he will not be deposed until 2022. So he can still play football in 2021. So we'll see. If the Texans are smart, they get rid of him as quickly as they can, because either way, with what this goes with it, they've got to get something for him. And then if things go sideways, they're on the plus side of it. They've got to get away from what Bill O'Brien did to that organization, and they've got to start making moves that benefit the organization. They have to do it. So
Yeah, I agree. Last year defense, they had Phillip Rivers on the offensive side of the ball. Did okay, but Phillip would throw some up there. Carson Wentz back with Frank Wright, seeing him in the division with the Cowboys, playing for the Eagles. So I think his stock is going to rebound. I think he'll be just fine. I'm only saying that because he's not playing for the Eagles anymore. But so I ranked them a little bit higher. They were decent last year. Good weekend win out. So I just ranked them a little higher than you guys.
Okay. Now, Alan, I'll let you go into why you got my
Cleveland. My top 5. You can make any case. I would say besides 1 and 2. I feel like you can make any case for any of these top 5 guys to be, in whatever order up there, which is kind of what we all have, essentially somewhat in that order, which we have to get to my number 4 and why Tex doesn't have Denver Broncos in his top 10 at all. Interested to hear about that one.
I think I pulled the Bills about that. I forgot about the Broncos. Like, legitimately, I was just forgot about them. I think
Yeah.
it's one of those things. I just don't trust them. But go ahead, sorry.
Okay, so Cleveland, they did everything right this year. Again, we talked about this in the post-draft. We talked about this in the post-draft episode where it's like the Bears drafted the right quarterback, the Browns drafted the right players on defense. Teams were doing the absolute right things. The Eagles drafted the right wide receiver. It's just a weird year where our teams are doing the right thing. So they brought in Jadeveon Clowney. They got Tack McKinley, who I don't think is that good, but I think with the pressure taken off of him of being the number 1 guy to get to the quarterback, he can do great. And then you got Malik Jackson, Troy Hill, and John Johnson who come over from the Rams, and that culture of the Rams to bring in and build this veteran mindset for this super young Cleveland team. Cleveland is just a young, inexperienced team in itself. I mean, they made it to the playoffs for the first time in like I don't know how many years, but they're just a young, inexperienced team. Yeah. And then you go out and you have this amazing draft where Greg Newsome falls to you and you draft him and you don't take Koromoa, who everyone thought that they were going to take. And then Koromoa falls to them in the second round. Like, you have two absolute studs that they drafted. And then you don't really lose a whole lot on the defensive side of the ball. Claiborne, Richardson, Ogunjobi, Mitchell, they're all solid players, but you brought in all of these other players to help them out. Not to mention, I'm just I hate that I'm stealing a little bit about the Browns, Scott. But I'm excited for them. It's nice to see this. But then all of these guys that were hurt last year who are coming back. I forget what his name is, but the quarterback out of LSU.
Yeah, Grant Delpit.
Yeah, Delpit.
And, Grady Williams, both coming back.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be scary on how good this defense is.
Since I didn't have my Browns in my top 10, I'll get my spot on that. My Browns are my 11th team, but they're my dark horse team. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up in the top 6. My biggest note here for them is they just need to prove it. They don't need to give up 50-something points to the Cowboys after they blow those big leads. We were watching games in Djibouti where they would get these big leads. They would look great, and then they would give up the 40-something points. So, again, they're my 11th team that will probably end up in the top 6. It's one of those games you don't know when you're going to start them. So it was really hard for me to actually put them in the top 10 right now. If we do this 3 games in, I think we'll have the answer where they're at. So I wasn't just trying to be a hater.
No, just, it is kind of funny though, because going back to our time while we were deployed, the first night I remember old Tex ended up with it was the Cowboys-Browns game, and we had our
tiny little twin-sized beds
in our, we actually shared a room, the base that we were living at, and we had our tiny little twin-sized beds, and him and I are like laying next to each other watching the Browns and the Cowboys on my TV, because I had bought Game Pass, so I was like, well, let's watch it. Like midway through the second quarter, like Tex is like, nah, I'm going to bed. Like, I got to be up in there in the morning. So then, I ended up getting up in the morning. He messaged me and he goes, "What happened? Like, they came back and said, listen, man, it's the Browns. Like, they're going to come back. They're going to give up points. Like, I don't know why you went to bed. Like, because obviously they did. If it weren't for OBJ and his ridiculous."
That we're watching on this side of the tower, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Good story for you. So I have pictures. I think Tex and I, we were out at
an airfield in the middle of Africa,
and we had to live out there at some point. But anyways, we worked in what's called an MSN7. It's a tiny little control just outside runway and all that. About this wide. It's how big it is. So in the middle of the night, Tex was actually, I believe, on the mid shift that night. And so I actually went out his projector and everything else.
Actually projected because I had Game Pass and everything, and we
actually it was 2 or 3 games that we did on the side of the MSN.
The Super Bowl.
Aircraft were to decide. Yeah, we did the Super Bowl too. And whatnot.
It was very hard to see from where we
were at. And we actually got a couple of compliments here and there.
Like, that is really awesome that you guys decided to do that.
So, just fun little story. But one of those games was the Titans-Browns games, and that
was the same thing. The Browns went up
by Titans. Texas like, oh, man, they got this in the bag. I said, listen, man, it is the Browns. Like, they're going to give up points. They're going to,
and that's why I was reluctant with my top 10 this year.
and here's where my
caveat is
with
I'm
that-
heeding
with
your
that.
warning.
I'm not gonna harp thing that Alan already said because he made every single point that I want to make. But I agree with you in the fact that they have to prove it. I get that. You know, you talk about Takk McKinley and David and all that. Not only are they good, you actually you've built depth, and that's the biggest thing. They've built depth with that, and their secondary is going to be way better.
Mhm.
Yes, losing Terrence Mitchell kind of sucks, but like you're replacing Terrence Mitchell with Troy Hill, and then you also bring in John Johnson. You have Grady Williams and Grant Delpit and everybody else. Like they're going to be good. The only thing that I would understand why you might have them a little lower would be because they do once again play in a tough division. You're going to play Joe Burrow twice a year and Jamar Chase and that entire offense, and you're going to play Lamar Jackson twice a year, and you're going to play Big Ben regardless of what people think about where he's going to be. You're going to play Big Ben and Juju and goofball dude that I don't even like. I don't even remember his name because I don't like him anymore.
Did y'all end up winning the division last year? No, right?
No, we did not.
No, the Ravens did.
No, Pittsburgh did.
Or was it Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh won the division.
And y'all took second in the division, right?
We did.
In Baltimore.
So y'all have a second place schedule.
So, thanks.
No.
I will say this: if you actually go outside the first 4 weeks, yes, they have to play at the Chiefs, but go outside that first 4 weeks. I actually, and I'm not saying this to be biased. I really do think that they can start off 6-1, 7-1. Chiefs, but then they go Texans, Bears, Vikings, and then like 3 other teams that
I don't think those 3 are as easy as you think.
lackluster.
If Deshaun can play this year, the Bears, I think getting the Chicago in at home in the warmer months is good. I think that plays in your favor, but I think Vikings are the easiest of the 4.
The Browns
still
will
don't
start
know
off.
what's gonna
This is
happen.
my hot take today. The Browns will start off 7-1. 114
Marking
this
it.
year. Start off
Wrote it down.
I can see it.
You say what you want. They're actually my number 4 team. My number 5 team is actually Baltimore. I got them all. I don't remember where they are. There they are. So Baltimore is going to have a good defense. They lost Quentin Jefferson and Matt Judon, but they re-signed Calais Campbell. They have Tyrell Adams. They're going to be good. Their schedule: Raiders, Chiefs, Lions, Broncos to start off. Right, the Raiders, good test for them because you don't know what you're going to get out of the Raiders. Obviously, you get the Chiefs. Probably going to get smoked by the Chiefs, but it's actually probably, I wouldn't say smoked. It's probably going to be a better game than most will think. And then you get to play in Detroit and in Denver. And depending on how things go, like playing in Denver, like if you end up playing Teddy Bridgewater or you end up playing like
More than likely, you're going to have
a good game again. Playing against the
Raiders and the Lions.
So, they can start off.
And I've got them at number 4.
Right. That's why I wanted to kind of go into it because we all kind of have them all right around there. But I think that they're going to be a good defense. They play in a tough division, but they're a very good team. It's what's kept them in some of the games where maybe Lamar's not having a great game. That's all I got for them. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I to literally take your words, but just add a word into it. I say they're the best defense in the division, but the division is historically strong. All those teams other than Cincinnati typically produce something. I know Cleveland's had some down years, but here of recent history, they produce something. And that's what you got to watch out with the Ravens is who they're going to play that week and how they're going to play that week.
Yeah, and I'll just touch on it real quick. The whole they didn't lose anybody in the secondary. They've got an absolute B secondary, and in that division, you kind of need that with all that there. So, I guess I'll keep it going, rolling it on because we've already touched on the Ravens and Cleveland for you guys at 4. And then, Scott, we've got just one off, basically alternating there with our 3. with Denver being there. But for me, man, I think Denver's going to be an absolute stud this year. Denver got where am I at with Denver here? Denver Broncos. Okay, additions. Kyle Fuller coming over from the Bears. He's already played with Vic Fangio. That's an instant slide in. Not having to learn a system. Nothing. Just saw. Made sure that I rechecked up on this. Von Miller actually had all of his legal stuff dismissed, so he signed back with them. So they've got Von Miller back. They've added Ronald Darby, Kareem Jackson, Justin Simmons. Guys are back. The only person they lost is AJ Boye.
Right.
He's old. They replace him with Kyle Fuller, and they draft Patrick Surtain. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
don't remind me of that.
I don't know. Like, I honestly, this is the defense that I think can stand up to the Chiefs. They are going to be good if the offense can keep them off the field. Like, this to me could make Denver the reason why I have them at number 2 in the division.
Right.
Like I said earlier,
I agree.
Honestly, I forgot about Denver. Sorry about that. I honestly forgot about Denver, and maybe it's just because an overthought because of how awful their offense was. Von Miller getting hurt. I think he got hurt last season as well.
Yeah.
But you got to factor in the altitude, all those things. The start of their schedule. I mean, look at it: Giants, Jaguars, Jets. I mean, with Teddy Bridgewater starting, that could be a 3-0 with a +6 turnover differential. And those are all points when it comes to fantasy. So, again, I didn't do my research enough with the Denver for them to pop up in my head. So, I would probably insert them within my top 5 as well, knocking out the Patriots. So,
yeah. I'm not gonna press too much on what you already said, Alan, but there has been talks once again, like if Aaron Rodgers were to go to that team, they'd probably compete for a Super Bowl. And it's not just because of the offense and the weapons, but because of the defense as well. Like, to me, this is the same type, in my opinion, defense that they have there now. Had there when Peyton went there.
This is arguably better.
If Aaron Rodgers were to go there, type of thing going on, and really any like veteran quarterback, like you can go and Peyton. If you actually go back to that
season that they won the Super Bowl,
Peyton really didn't have like a Peyton type year. Like, the reason that they won games and the reason that they won the Super Bowl is because of the defense. Like, and that's kind of how their defense is this year. That guy, if Teddy Bridgewater goes out there and has a mediocre year, or even a better year for, like, they're probably going to compete. And the only reason why that they might not is just because you have the AFC is just so strong, at least at the top. Like, from like mid-range down.
If Teddy Bridgewater plays just as good as he did for the Panthers, then Denver easily has a spot in the 100%, because the reason that the Panthers didn't do good last year was because they had nobody on defense. If you have a defense like Denver playing with the way Teddy has, with the weapons of Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Melvin Gordon, and the rest of those guys on that team, holy crap, that could be like, honestly, that could be scary.
No, I agree, man, and that's why I have them up where I have them, because even with a Drew Lock or a Teddy Bridgewater, I think that they're able to get enough done on offense to at least take the pressure off the defense a little bit and let the defense. And I honestly think you're going to see a lot of Denver this year. If they stick with Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock, you're going to see a lot of Denver this year of what I think, like, what Washington looked like a lot like last year. It's like you had such a stout.
Yeah.
That
but
no matter
they could
how
be better.
The offense,
they're going to have a better offense.
And that's what, right. I agree with that. What I'm saying is, like, in the games where maybe Washington actually played good offense, the defense was just ridiculous. And I think that's where Denver can be, except more on a basis than what Washington was last year. and that's
That's
why
why
I have them
so
so
high.
So, let's go. Let's look back here.
Yeah, let's keep this rolling
Denver,
because our
Going
tops
over
are
Baltimore.
pretty.
All right, so
pretty
Tex,
close.
you can be the first one. We've already gone over really the Baltimore. You've got, which we understand why. Like we're all kind of right around that same thing. Tex, if you want,
Yep.
you can go into Tampa Bay here. You've got them at 3. So.
Yeah, Tampa Bay. I think we're all going to talk about the same points. Tom Brady's there. So what did he do? He got the good players to gravitate back. I think they re-signed every single starter on both sides of the ball. If I recall, the division is weaker this year than it was last year. You're not going against Drew Brees twice now. You're not even going against Teddy Bridgewater twice now. And then Atlanta, Matt Ryan's still going to put up points, but who knows how that production falls off once Julio leaves, because we all know Julio's probably going to leave. So the division is weaker. They are playing a first-place schedule, but it's still Tampa Bay. He's going to they still play in the still warm in December, so half their games are going to be down there for that. So I think that's how we're all going to feel when it comes to Tampa.
Yeah.
I think I 100% agree with everything you're saying with all that text. And like you talked about earlier, it's the weight of what you take all that. To me, the easiest point that I have them at number 1 is because of what they did in the Super Bowl. I get it. The Chiefs didn't have the offensive line and all that, but you look at what they did and how they dismantled one of the best offenses that our generation has ever seen to play NFL football. And what they did, and then they brought every single person back. Yeah, for me, that does more for the team than the talent that's there. Your team tells you that, hey, we want every single one of you guys back, and a lot of them took a lot less money to play for them. So it's the same thing with the Patriots. It's the culture. So
yeah, I mean, I have them
at number 2,
and only because I just feel some type of way about Washington, but not to harp too much on what y'all. But they're at that a level of what I think like the Legion of Boom was. I would think
that the Legion of Boom.
No, I don't think that.
No, hold on. Let me finish. So like I think the Legion of Boom, in my opinion, was probably the best defense all time. Like the only thing that could probably attest to that would be maybe like the 85 Bears were really nasty.
What about the 2000
like
Ravens?
Okay, I like the but I hate the Ravens. So
you just harped on your division.
Should have been the 2000 Cleveland Browns is what that should have been, but I'm not going to get into that. So, but like that's where they to bring those same type of guys back, and you get that gel of everybody playing with each other and knowing who's going to be where and when, where they're going. I'm not saying they're at necessarily that level yet, but they could, depending on how they continue on in the next couple of years and everything, be at that level of the Legion of Boom or the 2000 Ravens or the 85 Bears. Like to me, like they're going to be that entire team. How often does that happen though? Like how often do you bring back the
biggest
entire defensive side?
The reason I don't compare them to the Legion of Boom is, other than Devin White, there is no Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. It's Devin White with the scheme of all these intelligent older players. The Ndamukong Suh's not what he used to be. But that's not taking away from them at all. I think them playing, all 11 coming back, football's a different time of game, where I think this is just going to be just as fine. It's just going to be just fine. Like, they're going to be just fine. But Devin White is their centerpiece, and they've built around it with the older players because Devin White is young, which is what I think the Steelers were trying to do with their linebacking core as well.
Right.
So they don't have Tom Brady.
No, I agree.
I mean,
it is what it is about Tampa Bay. I think we all kind of agree that they're going to be they're easily a top 5 team, like top 5 defense. And, it helps when you resign the entire team. So
let me defend my number 2 Rams here.
We'll go on to our 2s here. I need to hear.
Let's hear this.
Listen, I said it when y'all had the Rams down at the bottom. I said boom or bust. and I think business will be booming this year. I think
I
people
want to
forget
know.
about.
I want to know why though. Oh yeah, let's hear this. I want to know why.
I think they're tired of hearing about the Seahawks coming up. They're tired of hearing about Kyler Murray coming up. They're tired about saying that they're going to fall off in this division. And I think they're going to put it together. And Aaron Donald's going to have a monster season, Defensive Player of the Year again. I think he's going to do it. But my biggest caveat is my twin big brother, Matthew Stafford, I think gives the defense hope now. But again, it is a big boom or bust. That's the same reason that I had the Browns out. They're my other boom or bust. I think the Rams are gonna boom while the Browns bust. But you know what? It's a toss up. I think that will flip. That will possibly could flip. But I was just going by fantasy, and if I was going to get the Rams, I would be somewhat confident to start them every year. Or not every year, sorry. Start them pretty much every game other than maybe the Bucks. But for the most part, I feel confident you're going to sack Russell Wilson a few times. You're going to get points there. I don't know. I think it was just a hunch type of thing more than anything.
I'll key back in here real quick. So my biggest thing, I see your optimism in the thought of bringing in Matthew Stafford. Let's look at 3 years ago though, in Monday Night Football, in one of the greatest games that our generation will have ever watched, and
Yes,
it was
I
the
agree.
Rams 54, Chiefs 50. Yes, and the Rams with Jared Goff beat them. Jared Goff was amazing in the scheme that they had with Sean McVay. Sean McVay has kind of fallen off a little bit on all of that. And my thing, again, what I want to go back to is if you look on both sides of here, of the Rams, what we've got pulled up here, this middle is just a glaring negativity for this team.
Oh,
You
definitely
lost
a
all
red
these
flag.
players.
100%.
DN, Ebicom, and Brockers are the guys who are in the middle and taking that pressure off of them double teaming and triple teaming Aaron Donald. You can't I'm gonna keep coming back to it. I'd be willing to bet that the Rams don't in fantasy points, the Rams don't come inside of the top 15.
Oh,
I don't think that they
love the hot take.
And to me, I don't even think that's a hot take. That's like some barbecue sauce.
Oh man, I love it. No,
Yeah.
it'd be interesting. You know what I can't wait to do though is the year's over, we get towards the start of the playoffs and all that, is actually look back because I've got all these saved in my desktop, so I'm planning on going back
And looking at all these, so
we'll be able to figure out
between defenses and
tight
tight
ends,
ends,
running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, to figure out actually where we all landed on these and how close we were.
And who not to bring back next year
Yeah.
for the podcast.
Now, you watch Texel hit every single one, and we're like, man, we should probably make him a regular.
Like, he was really smart.
Like he got
Yeah,
every
right?
single one on the money. All right, so let's get to our I believe our last one.
Yeah, we're getting long winded here, and I don't think there's much to touch on with this with Washington.
Yeah, see, Rams. I'm not going to go into Washington. So I have Washington 1, Texas
Washington
1, and you got them 2. So all I'll say about Washington is they're just good. And Chase, you know what's really funny about Chase Young is like I legitimately just have disdain for
Many Ohio State
players, and Chase Young's not one of them. I don't know why, but like I loved watching.
It's because he would eat you.
Probably, but
it's greatness. I think it's greatness, dude. Like,
and maybe that's what
you have to respect
I
greatness.
loved watching
Like,
the
yeah.
defensive side of the ball when Washington was playing. Like, yeah, sure, and take nothing away from Alex Smith and the cool story last year that he had, but like if I was Washington game, more than likely I was paying attention to the defensive side of the ball because eventually I don't know how, but at one point last year I was actually able to grab Washington off of waivers. Just I don't remember how, but I had them for like maybe like a 2 or 3 game span until it just had a bad. I was like, oh, it's a bad matchup. I'm going to get rid of them. But like they're just fun to watch. I love watching Chase Young, and I'm
Be honest with you, I don't know a lot
about all the other guys. I just know that they're good. Like they're good. They play in
Yeah.
a terrible division. They're going to continue to terrible division. And
The thing where it comes 50-50 with the terrible division, though, is they're playing a first place schedule this year. So they'll get the Giants and the Eagles. I'm going to be a little bit biased with the Cowboys. I think our offense is going to be fine. I think our defense is going to be terrible. But we get our offense. So that's probably 2 games that go 50-50. But they're playing that first place schedule with Ryan Fitzpatrick this year. And you don't know what's going to happen there. But those red flags are null and void because I still put them as my number 1 as well. Because they're just great. Mm-hmm. They're good.
But
they're fun to watch.
Here's what I'll say to the Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Here's what I'll say to the Ryan Fitzpatrick. Here's what I'll say to the Ryan Fitzpatrick thing is you may bring that up. Was Miami's defense last year.
Decent with Brian Flores.
In defense last year. Right.
Yeah.
With Ryan Fitzpatrick on the offensive side of the ball at times. So like that's where I'm saying Ryan Fitzpatrick, in my opinion, is an upgrade from what they had last year because he doesn't have to do that much. But don't the ball off to Terry McLaurin. Just throw the damn ball to Terry McLaurin and let him go. Like, keep the offense on the field, which that's the one thing that I think Ryan Fitzpatrick knows how to do is to be able to keep the offense on the field. If he can do that, give Washington's defense a little bit of a break, let them catch their breath, and go out there and ball out. Because, once again, you're getting – I'll give you this.
Cowboys will
on offense, obviously
be better because they're getting back.
They're going to be good.
Miami was in the middle last year on yards allowed.
Were they?
Sorry. Yeah.
Like, you're going to
you know
have
who
to
was
play
number 1?
Choice, but you're getting Daniel Jones and the stupid Giants twice a year. You're getting Jalen Hurts and the stupid Eagles twice a year. Like, and I think you'll split against the Cowboys. So you're talking 5 games where Daniel Jones sucks. This is a prove it year, and he's not going to prove it. He will not. He might be in New York, but he will not be the starter next year. He's going to turn the ball over against Washington. He's going to get sacked 5 times against Washington. But what?
You know what defense had the least amount of yards allowed last year?
Who?
The Rams. I just wanted to throw that out there on my pick. The Rams.
The Rams, yes, with all of the weapons that they had last year. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Hey, all I need is a third of that production to put them at 2. 2 or 3.
All right. Because we're getting to the end here. I'll just finish off, touch on Washington. Honestly, easily could see them as number 1. The only reason they're not there is, like I said, for what Tampa did to the Chiefs last year. They literally proved it. So
Yeah.
But.
And I agree. That I think the top 5, to me, in my opinion, I think we're all going to be pretty close, except for leaving Denver out. That's okay. He may be the team.
Hey, y'all left the Bills out. If y'all could change,
maybe be a big out
at the end of the year, who's someone who ends up in your top 10?
Who what?
In the end of the year, someone outside of your top 10, who ends up in your top 10?
Outside of the top 10,
the
Bears.
The top 10.
Bears.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'll agree.
So, if I go with my revised list and I put the Broncos in, which knocks the Patriots out, I still think the team that surprises some people. I got 2, but I'm gonna go with either Green Bay if Aaron Rodgers is there because their defense looks halfway decent, or we'll see. No, I'll just go with Green Bay on my choice on that one. I think the Green Bay Packers could end up somewhere in the top 10 if Aaron Rodgers is there. But if not, no, they have no chance.
Yeah, no, I'm take the Bears on that one. I think that was good in there. Me and Alan don't have the Bills either, so. But yeah, boys, I appreciate you joining me tonight. Text at some point we'll probably have you back
on with all of our work schedules and
whatnot. It's kind of hard to get all three of us with all at the same time. So we appreciate you coming on tonight. You and your Cowboys fans.
Can you bust that
jacket out real quick so like everybody else can?
Oh yeah.
Disgusting. Is that disgusting?
Jacket.
You know, I
got
got this jacket probably 10 years
this
ago.
dude showed up all
got this
suave.
I probably got
oh
this
my
jacket 10 years ago. Ain't
Let's see
ever
this
wore it once.
non-America's team jacket.
You know what I mean? Got that leather jacket, but I lived in Florida for so long. In Texas, I never needed a jacket till I got here.
Oh, man.
But I
love
appreciate
it.
y'all having me tonight. It was fun. It was different
Yeah.
for me, but
Yeah,
I
man.
appreciate
Hey, we'll have
it.
to have you back on text. Get you back on here. We're going to do some mock drafts and everything leading towards the beginning of the season. Be good to have as many people on here as we can. Do some mock drafts and everything. So yeah, good having you on text. Good meeting you too, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely don't need to stick to 3 people. It'd be nice to actually, especially on those mock drafts, grab quite a few people to be able to jump on here.
Yeah.
For everybody that's listening, 11 June should be our next. We're planning on continuing on with the roster. So on the 11 June, we're going to be doing our top 10 tight ends. It'd be interesting to see where those all fan out because if I can remember correctly, there's about 4 that everybody
Just make sure that this was broadcasting because I got a few
Yeah,
texts
that's
saying that
correct.
I got a few texts from some people saying that they couldn't find the broadcast. So just giving you a heads up with that because I know y'all
on
getting
Facebook
started.
Live, I'm having a little issue with YouTube. I've had an issue, and I'm just trying to figure out why the YouTube didn't work tonight. But I promise I will try to get it up on next week or 2 weeks from now.
Cool.
Yeah. Hey,
Remember, every
and
2
for
weeks,
everybody,
that's what-
for everybody
that's
out
what the
there,
plan is.
for everybody out there too, the Instagram's up now too. All washed up 21. You can go find us out there. Hit the follow. YouTube, Facebook, everything out there. Hit the follow. Hit the like. Let's get us out there. So.
Yep. Twitter is all washed up 21 as well. Try to get on there as
Twitter,
much as I can. But appreciate everybody tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed what we were talking about. Once again, join us in a couple of weeks here for our top 10 tight end list. But CK out. Yeah, thanks. I'll see you guys. Thanks for joining me.
Peace out.
Yeah. See you guys.
See you.